Okay, hang
Because
on.
it would be the third reading, and I don't believe we should bring something off of committed legislation and vote on it the first time through.
Okay,
Those again need to be separate.
yeah,
Okay, item 1 first.
okay. The motion is to not read item number 1. Is there a second of the committed legislation? Seconded by Mrs. Lester. Okay, roll call on that motion.
Trutchell.
Yes.
Prohl.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Malone.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Henderson.
Yes.
Bonner.
Yes.
Ames.
Yes.
Okay, so item 1 will not be read, that passed. Then the motion for item
Make
2
that
and the
same
committed
motion on item
legislation.
2.
Okay. And again, second by Mrs. Lester. And roll call on that motion.
Trutchell.
Yes.
Prohl.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Malone.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Henderson.
Yes.
Bonner.
Yes.
Ames.
Yes.
And that motion passed. So item 1 and 2 of committed legislation will not be read this evening. They will be at the third reading at the next regular legislative meeting. And I know Mrs. Taylor did ask for an interpretation of council rules, and in conference with the law director on that issue, we have to look also at what the 3-read rule says. And if council recalls, if there's an amendment to current legislation, it's the president of council's prerogative to look at that and determine if that change was substantial enough to reverse it back to first reading. And the opinion that I received and confirmed by thinking of the rules, that those items 1 and 2 have been on council's agenda. Council has had those in their hands and looked at those, and there has been no amendments or no changes to those 2 ordinances. As a result of that, the 3-read rule would really not apply, only unless there was a change to those ordinances. So my ruling tonight would have been they would remain at third reading because there has been no changes to those ordinances. But anyway, just for reference, according to interpretation of council rules, but my discussion with the law director, and so we'll go from there. Again, I really think that's just an area that as council moves forward, they need to look at amending those rules to more clearly identify those kind of ambiguous areas so that it leaves nothing to question. And that would make the job easier for all of us and help the public to understand our rules a little better as well. But anyway, that's where we are. Okay, other new business. Mrs. Ames.
Thank you, President Schultz. I just want to add a few details to what Mrs. Eddy said about the Larry Cox 5K Turkey Trot on Thursday. This is going to be the 5th anniversary of it, and the goal is for 500 entrants. Last year we had 420. We're trying for 500 for 5th year. The race begins at 9 and registration begins at 7:30 in the park at the pool. And this year they're offering full color sweatshirts also instead of just t-shirts. And the money from the event goes to reward citizens for their tips for Crime Stoppers. That's where all the money goes. And each year someone carries Larry Cox's shoes. He was an avid runner and a rural sports person. And this year CHS student Dalton Bettendorf is going to be carrying Larry's shoes. Dalton got the Bishop Flaget Larry Cox Award last year. So the public is invited to this, and if you want to register online at southernohiocrimestoppers.com, you can do that ahead of time, or you can register starting at 7:30 on Thursday. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Trutchell.
One item, Mr. Schultz, and it probably should have come under old business. However, last Friday was the dedication for the bridge, and there were no less than 200 people down there, and half of them were bicyclists, and a degree of joggers, walkers, and whatever were down there. It was a great ceremony put on by ODOT, recognized the city of Chillicothe, and their accomplishments over the years, and this being another big one, I believe. And we've got a long way to go, and there's a lot of things coming up that are good, including the soccer complex. But it was quite a ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Patrick?
I'd like to commend administration. Last night, for those of you who didn't go, they put up the floodgate over the Bridge Street Bridge, and they did an excellent job. They had all the parts and pieces, nothing was missing, an hour up, an hour down, and everything worked.
Good. That's great. Yeah. It's always good to know those things will work if we need them. Mrs. Ames?
I have one more thing I want to add too. Just recently, United Way sponsored a basketball game up at Bishop Fleget, and it was fire and police versus the United Way team, and I just want to thank all of the firemen, policemen, mayor, city officials that participated in that. We had a very good time and raised money for United Way.
Good. That's great. Mrs. Henderson?
This is for what it's worth. I've had several citizens ask me about the ODOT project north of the bike bridge, and where you go the off-ramp of 35 and you turn left to go back into town. We've watched them dig deeper and deeper and deeper, and all they dig out is sand, and it goes, you know, and then you think that those bulldozers are going to be swallowed up in that hole there, and they seem to be hauling sand that might have been stockpiled for years. But I know it's an ODOT project. I tell people it's not a city project or anything like that, and if we could find out how or why. Was that stockpile when they built 35? I keep expecting them to hit the remains of is it old Camp Bull? It was they believed that the site of a Revolutionary War stockade was there in that area, and I keep waiting for them to find it. But it's sort of like the old gravel pit there. It's just all sand.
Yeah, I think the mayor has an answer to that, and usually you'll find ODOT will borrow needed fill dirt from places that they own, so Mayor.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're
Yeah.
using it for fill material and rehabbing the
road?
two eastbound lanes that are going north, and then they'll do the same thing on the other side. It's my understanding they plan on refilling that later on.
But it was sand from when they built US 35?
No, it was more than sand, Cindy. It
It
was
looked like
soil itself.
Yeah.
Was it? It's just amazing. I thought, are they going to China? And several
Well,
people are wondering what's going on there. You know.
They may not go that far, but I hope they don't find any arrowheads.
Oh, so true.
Okay. We do need to excuse Mr. Cross this evening,
Yes,
so
we should.
Mrs. Malone.
Make a motion to excuse Mr. Cross.
Second by Mrs. Lester. And just keep Mr. Cross's family in your prayers. His wife's sister passed away. So roll call on that motion.
Trutchell.
Yes.
Kroll.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Malone.
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Henderson.
Yes.
Bonner.
Yes.
Ames.
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Cross is excused. Any other new business? All right. Committee assignments and meeting dates. Committee assignments since our last meeting, 385 to city services, amend ordinance pertaining to garbage collection fee, and it's not raising that fee, it's just some corrections there. 386 human resources, amend section 15102 to extend hours for part-time security officers for the remainder of 2009. 387 human resources, amend ordinance 132-09 for the pay scale for the surveyor, flood wall coordinator per ASME contract. 388 finance, appropriate $1,104.61 for civil service administration. 389 utilities, appropriate $1,850 for the hospital road lift station. 390 finance, appropriate $650 for a new washing machine for fire station number 4. And 391 to Parks and Recreation to accept a $1,000 donation from the Eagles Club. I believe it's for the repair of the Eagles bandstand in the Yoctangi part. As far as meeting dates, there's no review session scheduled for next Monday. There is? Okay, there is
To
review.
discuss the rezoning of
The
15
rezoning,
Western
right,
Avenue.
that's right. Rezoning meeting next Monday at 6:30 for the Western Avenue property. And then the next regular meeting, December 7th. And then, of course, the last regular legislative, or December 14th, I'm sorry. And then last regular legislative session for this council will be December 28th. So with that gets us to legislation. Item number 1.